Shalom and welcome to another edition of the Daily Bread, where we talk about this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion, or Parashat, is called Bereshit, which is the first Parashat of the book of Bereshit, which is also the first book of the Torah. So we're starting in the very beginning again. And Bereshit means, of course, in the beginning. So that works out just right. What I'm going to be doing is going over my message. I had some older messages that I wanted to get on video, so we're going to be going back and doing my messages that I haven't recorded. So this one's called Division. It's from 2006-7. And, the interesting thing, we start off in Bereshit, is that it spoke to me a lot about the concept of division. And that's what this whole parashat really goes into. I mean, with a brief overview, you see we start with creation, and then it goes into kind of the little dialogue between about Adam and Hava, and then we go into the story of Cain and Havel, and we finish with the generations leading up to Noah. Now, we start at the beginning, Bereshit. Bereshit, bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. So in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And even before we get to the first use of the word divide, which shows up in verse 4 as bedal, we see that in the very beginning you have a difference between heaven and earth. You have this division, this separation between these two things. There's heavenly things, there's the heavens, and then there's earthly things on the earth. And this starts off, we get into verse 4, where in verse 4 it says, "And Elohim saw the light, that it was good, and Elohim divided the light from the darkness." So we'll back up to verse 3. "And Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good, and Elohim divided the light from the darkness." This word divided is... it's called Badal. It's spelled Bet, Dalet, Lamed. And in the ancient Hebrew pictographs, those could mean house, door, and teach. And how I would interpret that, how I would see that, is the teaching of the house really comes from the door. And if we look at that, what it means is that the door really divides what's outside and what's inside. So we're going to see this all throughout Bereshit. We're going to see that God is creating everything. He's setting up the universe. He's really putting a division between what one thing is and what another is. And we're going to see a couple of concepts in Bereshit that are very interesting. We're going to see the concept of creation, the concept of division, and then also the concept of things being after their kind, which is another way of dividing things. So we go through here and we see that he creates light, and the first thing that he does is divides it from the darkness. And this concept of dividing light from darkness is the pattern of holiness. It means when you set something apart, you take it from everything else, and that's what makes it holy or set apart. And next thing we have, the waters are divided from the waters that are above the heavenly waters and the earthly waters. And it's very interesting there because water in the Ramez, or in the spiritual meanings, stands for words. So we have this concept. It can also even stand for peoples. But we have a division, the rakia, between the heavenly people and the heavenly word, and the earthly peoples and the earthly word. So it's both about the Torah, it's about nations. There's a lot that we can glean from these concepts and this division. Now, we see next the groupings. Again, the Bereshit's all about division and groupings of the creation. That creates the structure of the universe. So what's grouped is the dry land comes together. So the waters are gathered together, they're grouped together, and the dry land is grouped together. This is also a kind of division. Then we see that the seed we get into this concept of mean in the Hebrew, which means after its kind. It's the seed that's within itself after its kind. And we're going to see later that the animals were created after their kind. And so an apple tree doesn't produce a plum. There's a division there, that an apple tree is an apple tree, it's not a plum tree. So all the structure of the universe, of what the color blue is, it's not black, it's blue. And there's a division in everything, the types of animals, the waters, all these things. And there's a naming that goes on. Elohim names things, he calls things into existence, and essentially we even see with Adam, he brings the animals before Adam to name them and give them their set apart authority, and that's really the verbalizing of that definition of what they are, and that they're not something else. The interesting thing when we look at this whole picture, okay, so you've divided night and day, you've divided light and darkness, you've created the separate seasons, the days, the years, the animals after their kind. Everything is separated and grouped according to like kind. And then we see even that the days of creation, they were separated, day 1, day 2, day 3, all the way up to day 7, where the Sabbath, the Holy Sabbath, is set apart. So what's interesting about this is that from the very beginning, this tells us a lot about ourselves and about the Torah. The Torah is the Word of God, and from the beginning, the Word of God had been dividing things, telling us what the structure of the universe is, what truth is versus lies. We get that story with Adam and Hava there, that Elohim said something in the very beginning, and then the serpent comes in and tries to say, well, you won't surely die. In other words, trying to contradict what Elohim had said, the structure of the universe of what is true. A lie by nature is trying to destroy the truth. It's being contrary to the truth. It's the funny thing is that the truth, as we even know it in layman's terms, truth is what stands. It isn't lies that stand. Truth are the true things. These are the things that won't be moved, the things that are real. And everything else is falsehood. So in the very beginning, Elohim created all of these things, but really the story is that he established truth. He set out what everything is, how everything works, and what it isn't. And anything else that goes contrary to that, like the serpent, was contrary to the truth, was a lie. And when it got the children to believe the lie, then their whole world changed. And how they saw the world change. Hava started looking at the fruit that she once saw as sin and said it was pleasant to the eyes and it was good to eat. Well, she'd never eaten it yet. Oh, how does she know it's good to eat? She doesn't. Changed the way that she saw the world, and therefore her world did change. And they were kicked out of the garden because of lies. Cain, same way. Cain didn't like the truth that Elohim had respect to Havel's offering, and so he tried to change reality by killing Havel. The bottom line is, though, is you can't change reality. You can deceive yourself, but you can't change the truth. And that's been what people have been trying to do with the Word of God from the very beginning. It's just they're trying to change creation. They're trying to change what is by trying to change how you see, change your eyes, change how you see what's in the house, just like the word badal, to teach you the difference between the door of the house, what's outside and what's inside, what is light, what is darkness, what is truth, what is lies. You know, this is why it's so important for you to study and to establish for yourself what truth is, judgment, and the structure of the universe of how you should have judgment, which is established by the Torah, something you have to learn for yourself so that you'll know when things have been changed. Well, you'll know when you went from being inside in the garden to outside and cast out. You have to have that judgment to know the difference. And that is the model of the cherubim, the flaming sword, the word of truth, and the testing word of truth. The fire is a testing, and it divides what is in the kingdom, what is out of the kingdom. So I hope you're encouraged to think upon these things this week and to understand that the same battle is the battle from the beginning, to change the way you think and to change what you believe is true. So keep studying. Shalom.